All right.
Today being Tuesday, April 1st, 2025, we'll call the meeting of the Tilton Northfield Fire and EMS Fire Station Building Committee to order. It is 5:32. Those present: Chief, Tim, Paul, Deputy Balvani, Dennis, and Lisa. First item will be the minutes from 11/25 of 24.
My dad's birthday.
I move the minutes of the November 25th meeting to the floor for discussion.
I will second that.
Discussion?
Does anybody remember?
Yes, I do, because I had already marked it up a long time ago.
Oh, did you? Okay.
Yeah. I have I would like, because it talks about the new charge that the commissioners did, should we attach those to the minutes? No?
Because all the minutes is a record of what happened during that meeting.
But we
So-
discussed the charge.
Is the
Right.
charge on the
The
website?
charge is available.
It is, okay. And then, I want to see if everybody else thinks this is funny. The very last line on page 2, where Kevin stated when they break ground on a new station, he'll eat the first cup of dirt. And then I say, Lisa commented that this new charge makes sense. I'd like to add the word commissioner's charge, but if you want to make it that Kevin eats the first cup of dirt, my charge.
I'm okay with that in the commissioner's charge.
Right after the
So
word.
this
On page 3, the first line.
Commissioners.
Yeah.
Well, of course, Kevin's can eat the first cup of dirt, implying that other people are going to eat a cup too.
Right.
I just was reading it, and then it said Lisa commented that new charge made sense.
Yeah. Dennis will not eat a cup of dirt.
Any other discussion? All those in favor of the minutes as corrected?
Aye.
Those opposed? Minutes are passed. Chief has second set of minutes.
These are from 2 weeks ago?
Yep.
2 weeks ago.
Or a week ago?
Yeah,
Or
Week ago.
a week and a half
You
ago?
already have them?
I have one.
Who does not have them?
I need one. I think I've read
I
it,
have one.
but
Dennis, you have one?
Yeah.
No. Couldn't say it's in paper.
we need to teach Lauren how to spell a railroad.
How was it spelled?
It's
Yeah.
okay, there's not too many people that do know how to spell it.
Oh my
On a
word,
regular
or pronounce
basis.
it. So, Lauren, we'll cut you slack on this one.
Just have to get it posted over her
Put a
desk.
sticky right above her
Yeah.
thing.
Well, she can
That's
add
what I
it.
have.
She
I
can
have a
add it to
sticky.
her spell check.
Yeah, she should, add it in there, yeah. Because I'm sure it's saying what?
Right.
And I should spell Bob Griswold.
Yeah, I didn't think that was spelled
I
right
didn't,
either.
I wasn't sure.
But
I didn't.
I have it right here.
Yeah, it's a crazy spelling.
Oh, it is. So, Lauren, Bob Griswold, I think I'm pronouncing that correct, is spelled Grzywacz. Grzywacz. But it appears as though we're not working with him anymore.
No, he's retired.
I think of who he was.
He was the architect.
He was one of the architects at the meeting at the police station. but that was the
He
person
was
last
the
time.
one with all of the experience on the,
Right.
on the fire stations.
So two of the team has left.
Yep,
Do we have a motion on the minutes?
I move that we approve the minutes of the March 24th meeting.
I have a comment.
I'll second that. Go ahead, Lisa.
Okay. We did say that we were gonna ask the architect if the square foot of garage space was included when they used the number of toilets, or when they came up with the number of
it is
toilets.
included, but it's included at a different rate than, say, living space.
Because the minutes didn't say that we were going to request that. I was just gonna put it somewhere in that second page or third page up in that paragraph.
Did I send you an email, Paul, with all the answers to the questions? I send it out to anybody?
No.
I wrote it down, all
The-
the questions and answers.
So Lisa, what would you like to add?
Yes.
I guess maybe after the, let's see, Chief Seatar responded saying, according to the architect, the number of toilets is required by the square footage of the building. And then we all agreed that we should ask the architect if the square footage of the garage space is included in that calculation.
So you want to add between the second and third sentences that
Right. The chief was going to ask the architect if the garage square foot space is included.
Okay. Does everyone remember the conversation being that?
I do, actually.
Okay. Any other changes or corrections?
That's all I've got.
All those in favor of accepting the amended minutes of 3/24/25 signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay, minutes are done.
We should be able to see that anyway. I mean, does she use the video recording, or
She uses
she uses both?
both.
I would imagine she would use both.
Yeah.
Well, right, she's still got to figure out all the
People.
voices, so sometimes she
Right.
might have to look at the video to see who that was.
That's exactly what she does.
Of course,
Okay,
we don't help her out.
You know,
yeah, exactly, especially
it should be
when
like
we
a
talk
district
over.
meeting. Dennis Manning Tilton.
Okay, so I think tonight what we were going to do is look at the layout of the Berkshire station. But before we do that, I'd like to throw a couple comments at Mr. Sattler, since he's the commissioner's rep. And, you know, what we've been talking about is getting this all done for the 2026 district meeting, which is only a year away. So what I'd like you to do at the next commissioners meeting is put on the radar of the commissioners two things: the establishment of a finance committee.
It's funny, we were just working on the agenda today.
And a rough timeline for the public outreach. I think the finance committee is more important right now than the public outreach. But I'd like to have kind of a goal as far as a public outreach, so that we're not, you know, come November, December, and we haven't made any plans for that yet. And that will also include a representative from Lorero, right?
That's, we have we can have a meeting
Well, they have,
with the public outreach. Yes, the Lorero's involved with that.
that was part of the the
Yes,
proposal, right?
It's $10,000 worth of their fee. Public out.
Yep, I'm happy to bring that up. I guess my question would be, is there anybody, I already have in my mind a few people that I would like to ask to be on that committee that I'm gonna bring up at the commissioners meeting. If there's anyone else, or if there's anyone you think of that you think would be good to have on that committee, by all means, let me know.
I would suggest Tim Pearson,
Yep, he's on my list.
maybe Stephanie Giovanucci,
I think she's
the
on my
town
list.
administrator in Northfield, and maybe a member of the Board of Selectmen from both towns who has some experience with public financing or bond projects that are bonded. I don't know the Tilton Select Board that well, but
Yeah, I'm not sure who,
maybe
No.
Ross Cunningham is in Northfield. He's the county administrator for Merrimack County, so he's got some experience with that. And I think there should be a member of the building committee and a member of the commissioners also, just for oversight.
I don't want to get too many people on this committee, but.
I think probably 5 or 6 would probably be.
So I was thinking 3 to
yeah, Tilton
5.
Select.
What are your thoughts?
3 to 5.
I might, we brought up Stephanie. I think I was thinking of her for the marketing.
She is certainly capable of that. One of the things that why I suggested Stephanie is her long-term activity as treasurer for many of the area nonprofits and different agencies, as well as her ability to obtain access to grants. Because one of the things she's been doing in Northfield is she's been accessing grants that most people are, at least I'll speak for myself, I'm like, where'd that come from?
Right.
So,
All right.
You say you want to try to get a selectman from each town?
well, look, let's talk about it.
No,
I was
I'm just saying, no, I
suggesting-
just brought up the list. No, I agree, I just want to say, like, you probably ought to get, I guess it doesn't matter if they're short timers, but, they got the new guy on there, he's got a lot of experience in business and whatnot, John Hanson. He might be pretty good, I know, this is Catherine's last year, so whether or not she gets reelected or if she's running, I have no idea, but I'm just saying, she's sitting in the shortest office, same with Pat and John Scanlon. I'm not sure who Eric Adams, was he, it's a Laconia police officer?
He's the
Yeah.
Laconia police officer. His father was the police, he was the police
Yeah,
chief
yeah.
in Northfield.
Oh, Steve,
Yeah.
Steve Adams.
Okay. But yeah, that John Hanson guy, I don't know if you know, he manages, Coles, he's the general manager for Coles over here, and his son, he and his son, his son bought it, I don't know to what extent, but, they own and run the Dairy Queen, they bought that up. So, I know he's dealt a lot with finance in the cities and towns, I don't know as far as bonding and whatnot, but.
Is it appropriate for us to ask for a specific selectman, or should we ask the select board that we'd like somebody from the select board to be on our?
I don't think it's inappropriate, because we're trying to put together the best financial team.
Agreed.
You know what? And the select board, I've seen the select board move, and I'll just leave it at that.
Okay.
At least in Tilton. I think Northfield, you guys were talking about, yeah,
Ross.
Ross. I think that's a good pick. I mean, I know he's got a lot of experience. You know, that,
County finances.
yeah, he's,
Are you all set? Because I'd like to ask Lisa if she would like to volunteer to be the rep from this
or
group.
voluntold.
No,
No, I'm
it's-
joking.
The only-
think about it,
Yeah, it just depends, I mean, I'm gone in the winters, so keep
From-
that in mind.
from when to when,
Usually right after the holidays to
so January.
next year.
February.
If it's gonna be like this, I'm staying longer next year. But usually January, February, I'm not.
Well, I think
And I come back and
honestly,
then-
I would think that we would have,
it would be pretty firmed up by then. Because if we're scurrying then we have no chance at next year's district meeting.
Oh, that's true.
Sure, we're still lining it up the week before district meeting, that's not good.
Okay,
Because
so,
this will have to be on a warrant article and all that, so,
oh yeah, so you'd have to have it before November.
well, it's like
It's usually when the
February or
drafts go in,
something,
right? The
isn't it?
draft-
Well,
DRA,
it has to be done,
Budget committee.
by January 10th or something like that. It's different every year, it floats, but, yeah, the warrant articles have to be into DRA and all that kind of stuff. I think like January 10th. So I think that's what it was this year. It's probably a different date next year because of the weekends and stuff like that. But, yeah, and then there's it's around the same date as the petition warrant articles, which don't have to be approved by DRA, those are,
Right.
whatever.
Ad hoc.
So does that mean you would consider it?
yep.
Okay. And then I might put my word in for Deputy Balvani to be involved. If,
Fine with me.
We'll leave that up to the commissioners, I think, more than,
yeah,
Yeah.
be my suggestion.
I just,
What nights every week do you have left?
I don't have any,
So I was like, I know you're like,
that's about it. I think I don't know. Well, Monday, I could do Saturdays.
yeah, I'm sure your wife would love that.
Okay.
we have a meeting next week, Tuesday.
Next, April 8th, yes.
So I'm
Okay.
gonna bring that up at that meeting.
Awesome, thank you. So, let's move on to Park Street, and
Tom, there's room at the table if you wanted to.
I guess there's room today, I
Oh,
can
yeah.
move over there.
I wish Derek was here.
So
or Matt.
Derek apologizes, he's in Maine, he wanted to be here tonight. He's definitely gonna be here at the next meeting. I do have some, so I have some comments that, in my phone that we talked, and I can go over his comments when you're ready for them.
That's right, he did say last
Yeah.
week that he would do it.
Yeah.
Okay,
I know the one penny you'll probably have for this one like you did last week.
Yeah, we talked a lot about this one. This is not gonna look anything like what we have in front of us.
I can't imagine it would.
So is it the same type of discussion, the turnout gear is too far away, the EMS storage is too far away?
Yeah,
You want me to give you Derek's now?
Is it inappropriate to have the decon on the other side of the garage and then have to walk through the garage? So, okay.
Yeah, because that's what you're saying. You get decon and then walk back through a hot area.
Well, it's kind of like that EMS storage, doesn't seem like that should be out in the garage either.
yeah, I understand what you're saying. But yeah, so these things need to be moved.
okay, so right off the bat, we're talking EMS storage has to go to the other side of the garage, right?
In the
Yeah.
turnout gear.
So, Chief, you're keeping a list,
I
right?
am.
Okay.
I mean, I'm not an architect, but I don't understand why you just can't like slide it up against this wall. Is there a reason why they wouldn't slide with the shock compressor and SCBA? Is that detrimental to have on that interior wall of the
So
garage?
usually the compressors are on the outside wall because they have to get outside air.
Oh, yeah.
So,
And the noise factor too, you want it as far away, they're fairly loud.
Yeah.
You want it as far away from the,
so the SCBA room, as we see it on there, that's just for the compressor, that's not for any of the other equipment?
that's just for the compressor and maybe storage of spare bottles.
Storage, but not, no one would be working in that room, right?
No, the fill station is in that room as well. It's one great big box,
Okay.
and the compressor and the fill station are attached to each other, and yeah, you can't separate them. Not what we bought.
Doesn't make sense, really.
I had a question about the stairways. You don't need 2 stairways to the second floor?
To the
Because of the square footage, we've talked about that with
yeah.
the architect. If we go any more square footage, we'll need a second stairwell. Because it's a sprinkled building and there'll be egress windows in the bedrooms, you only need the 1 stairwell because it's a sprinkled building. But if we go any more square footage, we're gonna need a second stairwell.
Well, I don't think we're gonna go any more.
Yeah.
Well, I was only asking that because it's like, all right, if the hose tower was adjacent to the second floor, it could be a second staircase.
It could be, I think.
I don't think that would, because
No,
Is that a hot area?
it's not even that it's a hot area. I don't believe it's protected. The separation, so the stairwells need a separation, a fire separation, and they need fire doors that are self-closing. And I don't know if you could design that into the training tower itself.
Because
So-
you can have open staircase.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know that for sure, but that, from the fire code perspective, I would have a hard time thinking about a hose tower and allowing that to be part of a,
an egress to the
An
radio
egress.
part of the building.
yeah.
Okay.
So, we're moving the EMS storage and the turnout gear,
Yes.
right?
Yep.
Okay. Do you want to bring up Derek's comments?
Yeah, and so one of the big things, Derek, well, I guess I can go out of order here because gear and EMS moved to the other side of the building. One of the things he talked about is the captain's office being upstairs. So that's the only office upstairs. Like nobody else would work up there. It just doesn't really make sense for it to be up there. So if you look at the second floor, the officer dorm has that, and so I believe there should be like maybe a workstation and a desk up there, but like their main office shouldn't be on a separate floor from everybody else's. He would like the gear room moved to the front of the building. We kind of did that on Sanborn Road already.
Wait a second.
Oh, sorry.
You gotta slow down.
I'm sorry.
So, again, what I'd like to do is, whatever comes up, I'd like to get a resolution to it before we move to the next item, okay?
Okay.
So with that being said, where would we move the officer, the captain's office downstairs?
So.
There's a conference room right there.
So, well, one of his other, I guess I shouldn't have gone out of order. One of his things he wants to do is get the day room in the shift office. So to get the day room downstairs and the shift office into the day room, like we did on Sanborn Road. He really liked, I think the guys like it too, on the Sanborn Road plan, we moved that shift office, the day room, and the kitchen all in the same space, which would open up this crew office, and we could put the captain's office in the crew office.
Okay, so we're talking about the kitchen dining area or the training room? Where we
Kitchen
would
dining.
The
move-
kitchen dining area.
Okay, so we want to add what to that?
With the crew office, room 108,
Yep.
you could move that crew office into the kitchen dining area, obviously the square footage problems. And then you could make room 108 the captain's office. Whether it would move around and it might be shuffled. but
Where's 108?
It's in the middle, right
Oh, yeah,
behind the
I see
IT
it.
closet.
Yeah. So that would be the captain's. or officer's office.
So could you move the wellness upstairs to free up that space for the day room?
Try to get all that stuff
Yeah.
upstairs.
We talked about that with the, I know there's stations with it, Laconia has it upstairs. It is we talked it with the architect, and he suggested against it, because moving the, even though you do have an elevator, moving that equipment upstairs can be very cumbersome. So we had talked, we haven't come to a consensus at all yet.
You won't have to work out.
You only have to move it up there once.
You do only have to move it once, and it is, we've discussed it, and,
It would, the architect said it would require additional
Load.
steel and loads and stuff like
Yeah.
that.
That would
And
be,
then, and from my perspective, you know, I'm upstairs in the place where we are now, and the guys are working out down behind the fire trucks, and they're dropping weights and stuff, it still shakes the building. And if it's upstairs, it's just gonna give that more of a vibration throughout the whole building.
That building was designed for horses to be walking on barbell strong.
there was discussion, and again, there was no consensus and no plan really, but maybe moving the training room upstairs in place of the day room. But that, there's obviously square footage problems, and then there's other problems of, do we want that training room? So there was no solution to it. It was just, this is things he'd like to see.
Okay, so we
I have
just talked
comments.
about moving, I'm sorry?
go ahead, I'll add to whatever comments he may have
Okay.
on the training room.
So we just discussed moving the crew office to the kitchen dining area, moving the officer's office to 108 where the crew office is, and then you started to discuss the training room.
So yeah, in that training room doesn't come from Derek, so I don't want to
Okay.
make it, the training room, he would just like the day room, shift office, and kitchen integrated like we did on Sanborn Road.
Yeah.
I think the guys really, I don't know if you got to see the
They
update.
haven't,
haven't seen the updated
latest, the
plans.
latest itineration of it is not out yet.
Yeah,
We discussed, the Sanborn Road, we discussed with the architect, and we went back and forth on a couple of things, and so he hasn't sent us back,
Okay.
the redesign yet.
So we're gonna have that by the next meeting?
Yes.
Thank you.
so
Okay,
we had a lot of discussion, and we couldn't come to a consensus, a good way to make it work, but it's something that he'd like to see from a perspective of the fire department. And you know, when we really start moving rooms around and moving things left, right, up, down, and which can work, but we just didn't have a good answer for it yet. But that's
Lisa, you wanted to discuss the training room?
Yes, do we,
Sorry.
No, I was going to the training room too.
it's pretty
How
large.
did we pick the size?
And what I was thinking is, could we combine a conference room and the training room and have a divider so that if you have to have two at the same time, it just seems like you have two spaces that can be
Right.
used for the similar purpose. And the other thing, where if you wanted to combine these other things, you could probably take this, move it over there.
and then combine those things here. I see what you-
Yeah, but I just thought the training room takes up a lot of space.
It sure does.
And it's right in the middle of the
And if
building.
it could be, you're not gonna be in there every day in the training room. And so if you have a conference room, you could combine with that training room, and you could have dividers, just like the police station
The other
does.
thing I thought about the training room, and there's no closet. You need a closet to pick all those tables up and put them away when you need the floor space for other types of training, that you don't need all those tables in your way. I know that was a mistake that in a different fire station that I was involved in, two other fire stations that I was involved in, and we learned from the first one, we didn't have a storage closet in the training room, and we said, oh my God, why didn't we
Stacking
think
stuff
that there was
against walls.
we didn't put a storage closet in the training room, so the next one did, and it worked out well.
So I didn't really have a good picture in my brain how big this training room was. So what I did is I got the dimensions from the Tilton Police Station training room, and so the Tilton Police Station training room is about, and I don't have it written down, but it's about 75 square feet bigger than this. So then I had a better idea of how big this training room is. And they do have the divider in there, and that works for them. So I just wanted to point, because I was like, how big is this? Like, I needed something in my brain.
And they do have a closet in there too.
They do have a closet,
Yeah.
yeah.
Do you guys anticipate, in this place having over 30 or better people at a given whack in a training?
So I go to a lot of trainings at other fire stations, like we have like regional training things,
Mhm.
and you definitely fill it up. Laconia has one, like New Hampton has one.
But how many will you need?
I think 35, 36 is appropriate. To get bigger than that, it would be cumbersome, I think, but that's an appropriate size.
It's one of those things, in my opinion, that
Then you also
the-
could
the-
have,
the town lacks meeting space. It's like when we're having a meeting, can we have it upstairs, can we have it over the police station?
Right.
The room will end up getting used. But that being said, when you look at that training room, we can have a discussion about whether the size is appropriate, but it's like, what is this whole gathering space out front?
we were talking about that
That needs to
we're
go.
gonna junk that too.
Yeah.
Right.
No one who's looked at that thought that was a good idea.
Yeah, because I
It's a
was
lot of
looking,
square footage.
Yeah.
because I obviously outlined the training room and the conference room, to Lisa's point. I mean, it seems kind of redundant space. I mean, that's a lot of space when you look at it. And then when you mentioned, Derek was talking about moving, what was it, the conference room upstairs, or what? Or
The training room.
Training
Derek
room.
had mentioned moving the training
Right.
room upstairs.
So real quick, I had looked at like the storage. What is that storage next to the day room? I mean, what would that be anticipated for? Because I'm just saying, when you combine the two, that's like 809 square feet, and your training room is 1163. So you're looking at about 350 square feet less. However, but now, and to Tim's point, and thinking about, and I know how the training goes. I was just asking about the people. The public space is a commodity in the district. I mean, between Northfield and Tilton, we've made do with all these 1800s buildings, which affords us these kind of like chopped up spaces and whatnot.
Well, right,
So, I mean-
like Northfield, the basement is not ADA compliant.
Yeah.
And it's all
And
not
it's
filled with mold.
musty.
Smells like
Yeah.
you're gonna get a disease.
And then upstairs, they, taken a lot of the space
Yeah.
for offices and stuff, and that used to be a nice big space.
Yeah. My sister got married there, it was wide open, the whole thing, but now it's, like you
Yeah,
said.
we had our wedding reception.
Yeah. But the point is, everything is,
Okay, so, back to your comments. Are you want to change the day room?
not
Or-
necessarily, I was just speaking to Derek's point. What I outlined, I was more concerned with the storage, because I'm like, that's a lot of storage space, and I'm not sure what the heck that would necessarily be for. And I looked at that initially, when you look at a conference room over here, and I agree with Lisa, I think, with a training room that size, especially now that we've mentioned gathering space, it's like, holy crap, Batman. There is some square footage we could roll in and utilize. A conference room having a divider, that would be way better utilization of floor space than all these separate rooms.
Okay.
So I guess before we go too far with this, one of the ideas that we were kind of thinking of is to keep all the firefighters stuff together and then administration stuff separately, but you can have a little bit of a disconnect when you do that. But at some point, ideally, we want everything on one floor. The lot that we have for Park Street doesn't accommodate that because it's the way the slope of the land is, what everything else is that's already on the property, unless we go deep. We can go pretty deep, but there's also, not be able to kind of use some of that stuff.
I
Well, where are we
have a-
gonna park all these people that are
If
gonna
we're gonna discuss the
attend?
site,
That's the other thing, that's the other thing that the architect brought up. He says, where are you gonna park? Because there's no parking.
if we're gonna discuss the site,
Let's stick to the station right now.
okay, but it changes the floor plan to
Right.
discuss the
Well,
site, because I have a comment on
Taking
the
in everything
site.
said, though, let's let Lorero, all right, if you got rid of that gathering space and move some things around, can you fit that day room down here and make it fit in the space? Or how much bigger does the space have to be? But one last question, tell me how the conference room would be used.
for like staff meeting, officers meetings, like, that type of stuff. Smaller meetings where you don't need the whole big room.
Right, but when we take this, when we take this to a district meeting, you've got this great big room. So let's just say we go to a district meeting with this, you've got this great big room right here for the training room. And then you have almost two exactly the same. It's just like, well, what the hell is this and what the hell is this? Granted, this is the kitchen and the dining area. But I'm Joe resident, looking at a bond that's gonna raise my taxes, and I'm looking at two almost exactly the same tables and chairs right next to each other. And that's my point. I mean, we're trying to whittle down some costs because,
Well, I suggest we eliminate the conference room as we previously discussed in the corner, right?
right,
And combine that to the training room, and another good point, you have the kitchen space there as well. So is everyone on board with removing the conference room 105?
And basically, you're combining it with the training room, and if you're
Right.
gonna use some of that, you can take some of that gathering square footage and maybe make one.
Okay, so let's go back because I want to make sure I understand this. So with respect to the crew or the combination of crew office or officer's office in the day room, is that what you're talking about, is the day room on the second floor?
Correct.
Okay,
So you'd have to find square footage for it somewhere. I mean, we're not saying you need the whole, because if you add 485, 451, and another 100, that's probably too big, right? We're not looking for that much square footage, but if we can find the square footage to combine the kitchen, dining, the crew office, which is the original 108, and the day room, which is original 213, we could combine those three spaces into one, the same way we did onto the Sanborn Road plan. I think that's important for the guys, and
okay, so we're talking about combining room 213, which is the day room
Yep.
upstairs, with kitchen and dining, which is room 106,
correct,
and the,
crew office 108.
Well, I don't think you can say you're gonna move the crew office there, but then you're gonna utilize that space for the
for the officers.
captain's office.
Right.
For the officers. Is that correct?
Yes, or you can find somewhere else. I mean, it's getting the officer office downstairs.
Right.
The officer does need, so the captain does need his own space if, there is conversations that shouldn't happen in public. So the captain does need his own space to speak to another firefighter, for HR reasons and other reasons.
No, absolutely.
So room 108 then would stay as an office, but it's going to be the captain's office rather
Instead
than
of the
crew
crew's
office.
office.
Yeah.
Okay. So with that being said, back to the combination of multiple rooms here, we're doing 213, which is the day room, and 106, which is kitchen and dining. And that's really it, right?
Yeah, because you combine those two spaces, I mean,
Right.
with the square footage you have now, you'd have plenty of square footage
Right.
to do what you wouldn't, that would probably be an adequate square, so 485 and 451 together, you're creeping on 9 something, that's, I can't imagine.
Okay, with that being said then, let's go back to the officer dorm and office, room 202 on the second floor. Would that room therefore be smaller because there wouldn't be an office space within that room?
Bunk room.
Yeah, it'd be, bunk room, maybe make it a little tiny bit bigger than but you wouldn't need to make it, right now it's 70 square feet bigger, 60 something square feet bigger. You could take some space out of it. I don't know how you'd organize, again, it would take an architect, I'm not an architect, how to organize that L hallway
That's-
and.
None of us
That's
are.
why,
Except for
that's why we
Lisa.
hired an architect.
Yeah.
Well, if I could just interject here real quick, wouldn't it make more, obviously, everything's gonna change, so we can sit here and go, oh yeah, move this, move that, and again, we're not architects and we're not, but should we establish, like, what do we absolutely want on the first floor? Because whatever we put on the first floor, we're gonna have required space for the first floor. And then, it looks like we'll have more than enough space upstairs for, you know, dormitory area and whatnot, which is pretty much, that's what it's gonna be.
Yeah.
It's gonna be the dormitory and the day room. So,
Nope,
I mean,
no day room, just dormitory.
Oh, dormitory.
Dorms and
Right, so if you
bathrooms.
take out the, yeah, you take out the day room as it's, I mean, because the upstairs, it almost doesn't matter, because once we establish a floor space, it's not like, you know, to talk about what we're doing here is irrelevant. The second floor is irrelevant, other than, like you said, moving
I see what you're saying.
what we want. Because once we build the first floor, we've got that space upstairs, period.
Structurally, I drew a line on this plan. This is where this end wall is,
Right.
over there. In order to do that, because you're spanning over the training room and this and that, now we put in a steel frame to hold
Right.
up the upstairs wall. Normally, you would align your walls
Right.
from upstairs to downstairs, then you would save money. I
Right,
have other
so,
comments on saving money too.
right,
but-
so if you get rid of that whole front
Well, if
gathering
this is
space.
going downstairs, then maybe you move it around and.
So that's what I was thinking, you move that wall over and you move the training room towards the front wall of the building and all this other
Yeah,
things.
I mean,
like
that's
that.
up to them to do that. They
So-
probably,
Right.
I mean, this is
Right.
just a concept, so that, I'm sure eventually somebody would have said, hey, we don't wanna put a steel frame
Can
here.
you put that on your list, chief?
Well,
So,
we haven't really decided, we haven't got to that
Correct.
point, but.
so
Well-
I just did a quick math on if you get rid of the gathering space in the front, in that conference room, that's 675 square feet. The day room upstairs is 450. If you move that downstairs, you still have 225 square feet. The wellness center is 530, so you get 300 square feet that you've got to find in this first floor, which I think wouldn't be that hard. But I don't think it's our place to suggest where the rooms should be.
Except, for instance, like what Sean and Derek are talking about is having, like activities
Right.
occur in similar areas. So,
Right, so basically, we've already said that, though, the kitchen dining area would
Yeah,
be with the
discussion
day
point, but I
room.
don't know if we really-
But if they want to rearrange this floor plan to make it fit,
And
I mean, that's up to
I
them.
know you like to.
I'm struggling with it.
I know.
Yeah, I know, and I don't, we can talk about it, I mean, I'm not for or against it, I still, I have to do some thinking, I guess, why not? I mean,
Sure.
One-
So one of the other things Sean and I were talking about, and it's something that we saw, in fact, there's the article
Yeah,
there about all the
right, yeah.
different stuff, that what a firefighter's looking for in new stations and stuff like that. And it's taking all the admin and putting it upstairs with the training room upstairs. And then you can move all the bunks and everything downstairs. So when someone comes in, you would still have the administrative manager and the administrative assistant downstairs where the public would come in. But if they need to see the chief, the deputy chief, or the fire prevention, they gotta take the elevator upstairs, or the stairs that are gonna be there upstairs. And that gives you and then the training room and bathroom facilities would be up
Well,
there as well.
kind of addresses one of my concerns, which was,
The one problem with that, though, is that now you're separating the chief officers from the line officers.
So
And
are
there's a lot of discussion that goes along.
Are they doing that because they want the firefighters down on the ground floor for quicker response? to
That's
the
one of the
apparatus?
reasons.
Yes,
Okay.
yeah.
and then the other reason is the firefighters, I mean, the firefighters who work here, right? We are here to support the firefighters, and as the firefighters go out and actually do our mission, right? And it puts them in the same working space as all their equipment, so they don't, you know what I mean? It's,
Yeah.
I'm having a little
Makes
trouble
sense.
myself wrapping my head around it, but it really does make sense in the grand scheme of it. Derek, me and Derek talked about this a little bit at length, and Derek, like Derek said, Derek and me have a conversation on a typical shift when he works and I'm there for 8 to 10 hours. We talk probably 8 times, 9 times. So it happens frequently. So he's like, I'd have to walk upstairs every single time I wanted to talk to you, because we're not gonna call each other on the phone, and
He's good at texting.
so that was one thing, like, it struck me when Derek said that. He's like, I come and talk to you all the time. And, we run by things, talk, and so and I don't know if it's such a, and I think on a department, if we were even Laconia's size, we had 40 guys on the floor, admin and the floor are separated, but we're a smaller department, and the admin and the floor aren't as separated as some departments. So I'm not saying I'm against it, I just need to wrap my head around it more and really think about day to day, but like at some point, something has to be upstairs.
It's kind of like, remember
Right.
when we got that fourth guy on shift, and I says, okay, the captains are gonna be in their own office.
Yeah,
That was one of your like, oh, I wanna be with the men.
yeah.
But then when you figured it out, it was like, oh.
It worked,
okay,
yeah.
It worked.
And it's just
And I'm not
something-
saying that this is different, but it's similar.
Yeah,
What are the occupational hazards with a fire pole?
Very few. I'm not saying there's zero, but I've worked in fire stations with fire poles, and the only time there was an injury is when the guys were horsing around.
I could trip down the stairs, right, just as easy.
Yeah.
Okay, so back to combining the day room and the kitchen dining area. Are we talking about combining that onto the first floor or the second floor?
first floor, that would be where most of their work gets done. And I never even thought about, Lisa just brought this up, you could move the training room back and move the kitchen dining room over here, like, there's room to really move things around. Because I had thought about, one of my thoughts is if we get rid of this gathering space, we kind of spin,
Well,
so,
are we gonna eliminate the gathering space up front, or whatever that is?
Yes.
Okay, I'm gonna write that down for the architect.
But
I gotta
were
go,
you
what do they
going-
even
but were we
define
going
that as?
back- Were we going back to you want the living space downstairs? Because
That
you
would- it
could
would-
take this training, like you said, take the training room and put it up there.
mhm.
And what else would you put up there?
Then we talked about, so we talked about putting the training, this, and again, this is just discussions we've had, I don't have an opinion on it one way or the other at this time, but moving the training room upstairs, but then also moving the chief, deputy chief, fire prevention, admin manager, which would leave the admin assistant downstairs kinda by herself. And then we thought about, well, the admin assistant is a part-time position, does it stay a part-time position, so does the admin manager need to be downstairs? Well, now should the admin manager and the chief be on different floors? Like, that's, the chief and Kathy do a tremendous amount together.
As much as Derek and Sean talk together, Kathy and I talk together, and then it's me and Sean talking together. It's just,
Yeah,
Well,
so it's like, it's better to have everything on one floor, but
let me ask you another question. Describe this to me. So, the guys work 7A to 7A.
mhm.
Yep.
So when they get there in the morning, they're working on the, let's say, the floor.
Yep.
You know, meals in the kitchen, reports in the day room, gear, they're all in the, they're only gonna go upstairs in this scenario at nighttime when they're sleeping.
Yeah, probably 10, 11 o'clock at night.
So to me, it would make, to me, it's, I don't know, I'm not a firefighter. I'm looking at the second floor going, all right, this should be for sleeping and supported things like, you've got the bathrooms, you've got the laundry, that seems like what you would have on the second floor.
Yep.
And everything else should be downstairs.
I'll ask the architect then. I agree with you, and that's a good case, but I'll have to ask him, because he had a discussion with civil engineering to see how much bigger we could make the footprint and still not encumber a huge expense in moving gas and electric lines and stuff like that. And he says that would mean you'd have to remove more material and make the retaining walls bigger and stuff like that.
So we want to try not to increase the size of the footprint.
That's,
Is this now, can we jump into the second?
it's a segue.
Well, before
Because
we
you could
do
change
that,
the building size.
before we do that, would it be wise to continue on the structure itself, or,
Okay, we can keep going.
well, I don't know where you're gonna propose.
Well, I know what we're trying to fit into this building, a footprint, right?
Or smaller.
Or smaller.
Well, we're trying to, this is gonna go back to Lorero to be rearranged.
Yes.
Right.
So, I mean, it,
Well,
I see your
is there
point.
But
anything else?
cost-wise, if it could be bigger and you had no second floor, wouldn't it be less?
don't know.
Expensive?
I don't
You
know.
take out the elevator, that's,
Elevator's
$300,000.
100,000.
I think it's
And the-
250.
And the stairway.
Right.
You save square footage with the stairway and the elevator.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
But
So-
how much more site work is what you're saying, right?
Well, I have this, we're tearing down a garage, right, to build a fire station. Northfield, we're doing a land swap with Tilton, and I think I brought this up in another meeting. The garage that Northfield has for their highway department, it was in trouble a lot of years ago. I don't know if anybody's even looked at it recently, but way back in the Albert days, it needed repairs, and I have no idea if those were ever done. If you could do a land swap and give the garage, the fire station to Northfield, they have, their parcel is 4 acres. You have that whole parking area and some below. You could figure out lot lines, and I think you could build a much nicer fire station in the area that their garage is.
Oh, you're saying like swap the existing building as is?
Yeah.
I didn't
To
remember
Northfield. There, and then you take the property that, I mean, if you
that. How
look
much
at.
bigger is it?
Well, they have 4 acres. Some of it's not usable because, you know, it's the same kind of thing, the slope. But that big, when you look at what we're trying to put on a piece over here, if you look at that parking area and where their garage is, you might be able to put your station right somewhere in that area. I might even be able to have drive-through, and you're not as confined as
So
you are
Northfield
now.
would have to take on the expense of building a new DPW.
Well,
the
they would
garage is-
probably renovate the garage.
So
yes.
the garage space that we have wouldn't fit a lot of their equipment. Because the doors
And
are
It
small.
doesn't.
they still end up with a
A shit.
structurally deficient building.
When they
Even
Still
though it's
did,
better
nicer
than
than
what
what
they
they
got.
in Northfield, how many years ago was it, the talk of moving, when they had the,
They're gonna move everything to Johnson Road.
They had a fire or something.
Yes.
right,
yeah.
and that got voted down.
Yeah, I think,
Where
honestly,
the dump is.
I think what that,
Oh,
proposing that would do is
Exactly.
just put one
Yeah, Johnson Road's
additional
Monkey Ranch.
huge
Okay.
question mark in our project. I think that the land swap we're pulling with Tilton, I think it's, took years of discussion.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, my big concern with Northfield is if someday down the road they do move that highway garage, sell that parcel, well, there's a lot of our traffic that runs through their property to park on the side of the fire station, so, parking's already an issue.
And then now we're putting a brand new structure and we're gonna have,
More parking.
need more, we have a
We're gonna
need for more
but
parking,
we
so.
won't have any more parking. Well, there may be 1 or 2 spaces.
Well, speaking anecdotally though, I mean, if we were actually to get this fire station down there approved by the town of Northfield, in the future, I think with Northfield having this big, well, basically command center fire station, they probably would be amenable to, not like sticking it to us if they were to
Yeah,
move.
you would hope so, but, and another question is, so say you're having training down there, where are all those people parking?
Right.
In the training area, probably, that's plowed out in the winter. Behind the fire station, there's a road that goes down to
And
our,
in front of the DPW?
well, yeah, you could park over, I mean,
Yeah.
I mean, I know we've looked for sites and I just look at it and say, God, those two parcels combined are a perfect site for a new fire station. But rather than trying to cram you into the,
Right.
the other thing I thought about, and I don't know if it works on this property, is you reorientate the building. But that would probably require an entirely different design and scheme than what we have here.
Well, you can rotate the building, it's just, you're in and out of your fire trucks.
Yeah, and then where else, but it doesn't create any more parking.
Well, if you spun it to, so
Spun it and pushed it as far back as you can.
So,
spun it this way, I mean, you could much more easily create all parking back here, than you could create a whole parking area back there. Would it fit this way? I don't think it would fit this way.
so Lorero came up with this floor plan, and they separated the.
With help, like, we gave them ideas in the beginning.
But they were trying to fit it within
Which
the
way do they
most
have it right
buildable
now?
part of the
Maybe
lot.
indoors,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, they're coming up, if you spun it that way, you could create a ton of parking back there. And then you could
do it
make
in
a
and out.
rectangle out of
And you
this.
actually could go in
In and out too.
You wouldn't have any parking if you went in and out, but, I mean,
You could have ancillary parking, like.
Yeah.
I see a ton of those, like, those cement freaking retaining wall blocks. It's gonna be like 20 feet high out there.
yeah, because this is the
Well-
existing.
Right.
And
I mean, that's the other thing, I was looking, the existing building is this big right here. It's almost exactly the same, it actually comes with this door, so the existing building is that big. Just kind of puts it a little better perspective.
Okay.
So the
then-
existing
so they're only
building-
coming-
So the existing building is that right there, that's it.
So when they're looking at putting it, we don't know their site plan yet,
This-
but you could, this is
Yeah,
what they
that's-
had, but this is the old one where
Yeah, this
we had a
is
big,
so far
right.
not able to.
So basically it'd be here, right, if you're
Yeah.
putting,
Yes.
Yeah, it's probably a
or
little
you can
more.
shift, you can shift it all around.
Well, so, Paul, just, I think we've made the suggestions, and I think, in my opinion, there's only, 300 square feet that they've got to figure out how to add to this footprint to fit everything you want downstairs, and then upstairs maybe can be compressed a little bit. But I think we need to give that back to Lorero and let them come
no,
back
I
with
agree, but I do want to point out that all these ancillary conversations, I welcome that. Because those are all things that need to be discussed at some point. So, I don't mind you bringing this stuff up.
Right.
It's crucial.
So in looking at the site, since we were on that, and we're looking at a building, can you fit that upstairs area downstairs on that site?
So I asked that question, and I guess you can, but he says it'd be very expensive.
Because
Of the
retaining,
additional site work required, possibly moving the power lines that go to the tower site, because they come down here and then go in like this, and the gas line comes down here and goes in over here.
right, but we just determined that the building they're showing is only this big.
It's actually, no, because you gotta, so these spaces here, so you do have some
Okay,
room
so
there.
there,
And then
and
it's
then
probably
there.
about, it's probably, actually, yes.
It's probably maybe even over to here.
Here to here, yeah. That
So-
would probably be.
So the
yeah.
upstairs space can't go here? I guess it's worth asking them the question.
And to continue that point, it would, can we put parking over the underground electrical and gas services?
Yes.
Because that opens up this end of the lot for your parking issues, which also puts your parking much closer to all of the office space.
Well, there is elevation, they'd have to do something.
You could do some handicap spots up here and then everybody else park down here and walk up some stairs.
Walk up
Right.
some
You know,
stairs.
your handicap spots up here on the same level,
That's the other-
and then everything else is
The
down.
other thing I was thinking of, they do have to build a retaining wall down this, sorry, I didn't mean to write that.
You can write that.
Be down here, but at the same time, our training facilities here would be like split. Our training wall that's split a little, so there'd be a ramp, so the guys from here can walk up. You know, like a set of stairs or a ramp. I'm thinking of a ramp more than
Right.
a set of stairs, so they
Yeah.
can just walk up and get back into the building without having to walk all around.
Yeah.
Well, they're already anticipating, you've got all these doors on the back of the building, so.
Mhm. Yeah, you just throw a stairwell in.
Well, they
I'm
were
what-
originally
can you-
showing a big building.
I know there's some wetlands here, and I don't know how close you can get to them, but I mean, this shed is.
That's man-made wetlands right there.
So with that.
Because what that is there's a catch basin right around here,
Mhm.
and that catch basin goes to a pipe here and then just drains out.
Yeah.
So if we want to get rid of that, we just we just extend the pipe depth.
You spun that, you could make this a rectangle more than a square. Yeah. I mean, right, that's doable.
Or were you gonna access parking back there? I mean, where, is all the parking gonna be on this end of the building, or is it gonna be parking behind it?
There's gonna have
Well,
to be parking both.
there's actually, when you have to have separate parking. The employee parking is supposed to be separate from public parking. You're not supposed to mix. And the public parking should be nowhere near where apparatus enters or exit.
So the public parking needs to be on the other end of the building.
It needs to
Yeah, the
be
part-
kind of by itself, yeah.
Okay.
And then that takes a lot of the site work out too.
We'll see.
I mean,
I don't know, considering all the floor cracks in here, I don't know what's underneath this one.
yeah.
I don't know what preparation took place. Because even the footings were shifting.
Well, I think those two questions have to be looked at in parallel.
Yeah.
Lisa's idea of making it all one floor is a good one, as long as we can get it to fit on that site and be functional on that site. So it might be worth it to ask Lorero to lay this out on one floor and then superimpose it in the two different orientations you guys are describing, right? One facing Park Street and one facing the DPW lot, right? Or,
The only problem is, like, if the DPU ever did sell, we couldn't get out.
Yeah.
That's a problem, I didn't think of that, yeah. We'd have to leave through the DPW site, that wouldn't be.
Right. I just see that
It's 'cause
big
this is
blank
the end of our
area.
property.
Yeah.
The-
I thought the
Perfect
property went
spot.
this way, but.
Parking
it's-
or entrance,
it
or,
goes-
and
there's-
could
there's
you
a-
negotiate
a thing
a lease
buried
on that land?
pointed there.
Yeah, because that
park-
would really,
that might be the way around this, is rather than doing a land swap or any of that thing, see if the Northfield Board of Selectmen are willing to sign a 99-year lease or something for access through their parking lot.
the first option to buy,
Yeah.
Well, I just see this open space that lends itself to what we need,
right?
regardless of what they do with their building. I know they like to come straight out, but if you can, I mean, parking.
But if we're just using it for access to our
changes.
building and they're using it for access to their building, it's the same function, right?
Right.
As long as we're not putting parking out there. You know, if we can
So you're
place
saying for
parking.
access for the fire trucks?
Right, right.
I mean,
Right, but that goes to like Sean's point, it's, you know, if they ever did do something with the property.
We needed
and-
some
Well, they
sort
need
of,
a
And that is our
lease.
egress in and out, or,
yeah,
you know.
then all of a
for the
sudden we'd be.
some kind
Yeah,
of.
there's so
like-
many mini warehouse, mini distribution warehouse.
Jersey
The
Bear.
fence comes up.
Amazon.
Yeah.
Yeah,
The 100 Autumn Drive right now, we've been up to 100 Autumn Drive where they're putting those fences up, yeah. that's-
Well, let's do this. Let's ask Lorero to lay it out both ways on one floor, and I'll be more than happy to meet with the Board of Selectmen in Northfield and discuss some method of ensuring that we have access to that building.
Yeah, because their original proposal, they're showing a building that was 255 feet long, and ours is
This one's
160.
165. Yeah.
So,
It's
can't
100 feet
imagine.
almost.
So I can't imagine you can't fit that upstairs.
I think this is before they did any
Downstairs.
engineering or any of
Right.
that other stuff.
Oh, okay, oh,
I'm fairly certain of it.
okay.
Well,
Well,
you
we're
know,
gonna ask the question.
the other thing we gotta keep in mind is that if we can utilize the land over that underground, those 2 underground utilities for something other than a building, it's now beneficial. Otherwise, you bisected this lot and everything to the left of that cell tower is useless for
I mean, I
building.
approve the electrical service and gas service, that's part of my job, and I approve them over, driving over them all the time. You just have to
Yeah.
protect them different, a little bit differently, that's all. And I'm sure those are protected the proper way. And then you just has to be in the conduit, and it has to have 24 inches, which would be no problem.
Those are deeper than 24.
Yeah, yeah, so you're
Oh,
you're
better.
fine,
If
yeah.
If they're way deeper, you're even better.
Yeah, the deeper it is, the better. So it's very easy, not very easy, but it's, yeah, you can drive over it, no problem.
And with the elevation change, you're probably adding
Yeah.
on top of it.
Yeah.
Still.
So if there's some way we can utilize that square footage over those utility lines for something other than a building, and I think
For
we
parking.
should.
I mean, that could be, yeah, that would be, that would be a great place for parking. I mean, it's kind of,
Yeah. Yeah, we want to look at that whole butter thing before we,
Okay, is there anything else that, with respect to the building, that we should be looking at?
I did have a question when I was looking at it as, why is the decon bigger at Park Street versus
There's more people there.
there's more people?
Yeah.
because this will be the call station as well.
Okay, and that's why there's 2 toilet rooms in the
Yes,
decon
yeah.
area? Okay.
So what I've written down here, in the last minute or so, is can we use the land, near the tower that has the gas and electric lines underneath it for parking? Do I need to ask that anything differently? Okay. Can we put everything on one floor and maybe, or turn the building 90 degrees, to utilize the deeper part of the property?
Yeah. Sean, you may know the answer to this. How close can the building be to those services,
To the services,
to the gas and underground? Now, remember, that's high tension lines underground.
I don't have, if I had my book, I have my electrical service book. So does the gas line could be right there.
Right.
The gas line does not have to be, it can't be under the building, but it can be very close. The electrical service line for a high, I'd have to look, but it's not, tremendous.
It's 440.
yeah, it's not a tremendous
Um,
distance, I don't think. But I'd have to go to my electrical service book on
That's
that one.
more than 440. That's coming off the high tension lines on Park Street. That might be 14 or 100.
Transferred down. before
It's
you-
transferred down.
But it's not transferred down until the tower, right?
There's
The
a
transfer
transformer at the
At
tower.
At the tower. And I don't know what it is.
On
I'd
the
have to
pole?
go look at the pole and see where it comes off of the pole, at what height. But they told me it's 440. I don't know which side of the transfer they mean by that.
Well, you made me think of another thing. You know, obviously, if you can get a little more depth here in the building, can some of this stuff be on the back wall instead of on one side or the other?
Right.
You know,
EMS
compressor
storage
and
or turnout gear.
SBA equipment. Can the tower be down here in the back corner instead of the front corner? So you can
Right.
fatten the building rather than
Right.
lengthen it.
Right.
A little bit fatten it, square it up instead of the rectangle.
Because they've obviously been thinking about the parking while they've been doing this, so.
Yeah, that was actually one of the first questions they asked me. I said, well, let's get to some other stuff before we talk about parking, because we don't even have.
So the public parking has to be separate from the employee parking.
And the public parking can't use any of the ramps that an apparatus would use, whether it's coming or going. It has to be
Yeah,
separate.
that makes sense.
That makes sense.
Yeah, you
So you
don't,
don't really need
You
that
don't-
much public parking.
Not a lot,
You're gonna need more for the
employees.
shifts, because you're gonna have
Yeah, so-
12 cars there at once.
Except for when you have some training going.
Right, and then they can park in the other parking lot.
Park in front of the DPW.
That's right.
For now.
Oh.
So we've had,
Doors.
remember when we were doing the Safer Grant, before we even got it, we had a big public meeting in the Park Street Fire Station. And there was probably 50 or 60 people there. And where did they park? At
Across the
DP
street at the Pines and the front of the
The
DPW, because it was after 5
yeah.
o'clock.
If your training or these extracurricular activities are in the evening, unless it's a snowstorm, there's nobody at DPW after 3:30.
Right.
All right, so any other questions for Lorero? I'm looking at you, Lisa.
I have this, because I've hit this, these little jogs in the building.
Yeah,
They add cost, because your roof change, it just makes it so,
I already talked to him about it.
okay. I'm like, why? I mean, I get it if you want a
They-
vestibule to
he's-
come out and
He's
all
an
that.
architect, and
That's what I
he's looking
do.
for some design.
Character.
He wants it to
Character.
look good, right?
Yes, but,
And I says, we're not looking to have it, be the Taj Mahal here. We want, I says, but this is my analogy. Everybody thinks we're buying the Rolls Royce. No, what we need is an F-150.
that's right.
Literally, that's our
That's
workshop.
right.
Draw the pig, leave the
That's
lipstick
right.
out.
I just, I'm like, why do we have all these little jogs to make it, the masonry cost more, the roof structure cost more?
Yeah, I already talked to him about it.
Okay.
Yeah, the only thing that I thought was necessary there was the vestibule. So you don't
To
get
stick
like,
out?
yeah,
That's
so,
fine.
so you don't
Yeah.
get like, you have a door and
You
a couple doors before,
right,
because
before-
if you don't
you go
have it, you
stand in
open
the
the
rain.
door and the next thing the wind blows in,
Right.
Kathy's papers are blowing off her desk and then she's angry or something.
But there's no structure above that, so that.
Yeah, it's just,
Well,
that
that's
couple
fine, I'm not, the
holes in
vestibule,
the
the
ground.
vestible's fine, it's the little jogs,
Right.
all around the building, it's like,
Right.
why?
If you
I already
look at,
asked them.
you
I
look
got
at
the
the
answer.
second floor, you really see how many there are.
Yeah.
Yeah, so,
So- Yeah.
All right, Lisa, anything else?
I think that's it.
Lisa's happy.
Well, we'll see, they
We'll
gotta bring
see.
it, they
She
gotta
didn't
come
say
back
she was
and-
happy, she just said to them, questions.
this is gonna be,
Yeah, get rid of
I
the
think
jogs
this is
and
gonna
I'd be
require a lot
happy.
more work than the Sanborn Road station.
yeah, this one's, there's some work. The Sanborn Road Station's coming, the new design I like.
I do
Which
too.
hopefully we'll have that officially back tomorrow or something.
Oh, cool.
So what about?
Yeah, they sent us an A and a B, and we sent back comments, and they sent us back again, and we sent back some more comments, so.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, I think we should be in that loop.
Yeah, as soon as I get something, I'll send it out.
What about the
I'm looking to see if you
apparatus
sent me
space
anything today.
here?
The garage space?
So
Did Derek have any comments on that?
Derek did not have any comments on the apparatus bay. However, I just did meet with the deputy right before this meeting. He apologizes. He had another commitment tonight. He wanted to be here. He couldn't make it tonight. He is going to be here on the April 28th meeting. He has it in his calendar. He said he's going to be here. So I don't want to speak too much for him, but he asked me to say a few things. And one of them has to do with the apparatus bay. He's very concerned about the size of the buildings, and the 27,000 square feet has him nervous, and he wants to make sure this passes, so that he is very concerned about that. And then the other size of the apparatus, it's the size of the apparatus phase is the deputy. If you look here, the size of Park Street is in that little square, and currently we have 4 trucks side by side. He knows we need more space in between them, but he doesn't know if we need this much more space in between them. And then the same, and I kind of agree, like, when you put a pickup truck in, you don't need the same width bay in a pickup truck and a utility trailer that you do for a ladder or an engine. So he has a lot of concerns with the size of the apparatus bay. Beyond that, I don't want to speak any more for the deputy, but those are the comments. He's gonna come to the April 28th meeting.
When you say the other deputy, you're talking about Mike.
Mike Robbins,
Right.
yeah, Mike Robbins.
How much longer is the ladder truck than the engine?
6 feet, 6, 7 feet, 8 feet. 32 and 40. You need 40 feet from tip to tip for the ladder, and the
I'm
engine
just
is
noticing none of
30.
these trucks here are the ladder truck.
No,
But it looks like there's enough room in there for
And
ladder go.
are they
Yes.
actually to scale?
These are to scale now.
yes.
Really? Okay.
So this is the.
They're actually a little bit,
bit.
well, they say that they're scale. I took a walk wheel and it just doesn't seem, because right now we can fit an ambulance, forestry, utility, if you take the SCBA compressor out, in 78 feet, and they're saying they can't, so I'm trying to,
Yes, 80, 78 or 80 feet.
right now it's 78,
Okay, outside is 80.
80, yeah, interior 78 feet. In the ambulance, the forest utility, if you took, it doesn't fit great, but if you took the SCBA compressor out of there, it would. So, I don't know,
How wide are the doors on the current building?
12.
They're 12, okay, so, right, and they're narrow for the trucks.
No, Center Street is, Park Street's not too bad.
Park
Okay.
Street is 12.
And that's why I was wondering, because I mean, these do look big when you look at a 14-foot door, that's why I was asking.
Standard size door on any fire station built today is 14 by 14. Any fire station, so.
Which is fine, I mean, I don't really
So
think
has,
you need to squeeze expensive $1 million trucks.
Not gonna hear one.
$1 million would be cheap for an engine today.
Yeah, well,
Unfortunately.
multi-million-dollar equipment.
as deputy, you mentioned you just spoke with him today.
Yeah.
Will his concerns be brought up to Lorero also?
Has he spoke to you? Yeah, I don't.
Yeah, he spoke
This
to
was
me.
a conversation right before this
Right.
meeting I had with him, so
He's concerned about the size of everything, really.
So-
he's concerned about it passing, and I think a lot,
We
he's
all
trying,
are.
yeah, he's trying to find ways to,
And that, and as most people know, and I'm sure the deputy as well knows, that the apparatus room is the cheapest part of the whole building.
Do we have an updated estimate?
Nope.
We just have square foot.
You just split it. So the latest estimate that I got, which was last July, I believe, was $391 per square foot. Not counting site work. That was a separate price.
Right.
And I have all those figures, and I put them in a memo, and I believe last July, I probably sent it out to the commissioners. and I'd have to
Can
go
you
figure it out.
ask Lorero for an updated range?
Yes, I already did, and they haven't got back to me yet.
they were reluctant this time. They wanted more. I guess it
They're
takes,
waiting for the tariffs to kick in.
it makes it sound like it's a lot of, you made it sound like there's a lot of work into it, and you wanted a little more specifics about what we wanted before you wanted to get.
Because you got $1 million worth of site work on Park Street from the previous study, and now
Right.
that might have gone up as well now, right?
Is this gonna be
I'll tell you
a
what,
wood
it's
structure
more expensive.
building with masonry? Is that what they've indicated?
Block, and I don't know what the other side, but I know the apparatus side is block. But that's what they're planning on, and I know they said there's steel in there.
There's gotta be steel for the
Steel roof structure.
Yeah.
Is the rest of the building all wood? Or is
I
that steel structure?
I think it's block as well.
And the interior walls are probably metal.
Metal studs on sheetrock, probably. Unless it's bearing, and then they may put a block wall in.
Can you ask Lorero to minimize the apparatus space as much as they can and still have it safe and functional. I don't want to just brush aside Deputy Robinson's concerns because they're the same concerns I have and probably everyone else in town has similar concerns.
Because when you look at the 4-foot space there, I mean, I know, speaking in the past meetings we've had, a lot of the concern is it's like, we're not like parking our own trucks or cars in there. I mean, they got a lot of stuff that,
You've got to
when you
open
pull it out,
doors.
right,
Open the
right.
doors, you
Right,
pull
you
stuff
bring
out,
it-
next
bring it
thing you
in
know,
there.
it's,
Looking for me and from my perspective, and I didn't design, and I'm not an architect, I don't design build, but to have for the engine, the major equipment, the engines, the tanker, the ladder, even the ambulances need that wide space. But once you get to a utility truck, the forestry truck, the boat, utility trailer, is it necessary to have that much apparatus space? And is there a way to save? I know I drive by firehouses that they have the 3 big doors and then the little door.
Right.
You know what I mean? How much, I don't
the
know.
little door's the ship commander.
Well, yeah, but I mean, it's
Yeah.
our, an F-350 or an F-250 and an F-450.
Right, but when you're looking at this floor plan, it's like, all right, those bays have to be wide enough for your 3 main pieces of equipment here. Yeah, you don't need the space in the back, but how do you,
Yeah, and,
Right, but the
and
building width is based on your other stuff,
right.
so.
and again, I don't
it's the
know how
cheapest
engine.
space.
Yeah.
Hey, at the end of the day, if Lorero looks at it and they say from a structural standpoint, we can't,
Yeah.
at least we've looked at it.
But I think from a structural standpoint, they can do anything, it's from a functional standpoint,
Well-
is what's more important.
So
Yeah.
the exhaust venting system is pretty specific to the vehicle, right? Because the venting system for this truck in the back has to run all the way to the front.
Yes.
So do you end up having that for all 6 bays here?
Yeah.
Okay. And the second question is, when the call firefighters pull up and park next to the building, how are they getting in? They coming around to this front door right here?
They, well,
I think when we move this stuff, we're gonna be able to put a door.
yeah, there's a door, I told them to put a door in the hose tower that is not shown here.
So
But there'll be a door on this
There needs to
wall.
be a wall, yeah.
and-
Needs to be a door there somewhere.
Oh, from the outside? you
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah, if you pull in and park back here, you know, because you're parking along the building there, assuming, do I have to walk all the way to this door or all the way around to that door?
As long as you stay off the grass, you'll be all right.
You say that.
Don't mow the lawn so the clippings get into the bark mulch.
My sister, well, my oldest sister went to SUNY Binghamton, and they added a whole new section to the college, and they planted grass everywhere, no sidewalks. They didn't put any
Oh,
single
what a
sidewalk.
muddy mess.
Oh,
No, because they did it on purpose. They wanted to see where the kids wore the pass.
Oh, and then they'll put.
And then they put the sign on
Oh.
the pass for
That makes sense.
instead of making the
UMass was like
kids
that
follow
when I was-
the sidewalks, let's put the sidewalks where the kids.
Well, we had Rick Square lawns, that gave the sergeant major something to do. Sit there and monitor anybody stepping on the grass.
See, they didn't do that back, well, maybe they did now because it was a long time, but everybody, the sidewalk went one way and it's like, no, I want to go to that door, and we went right across
Right
the
across
grass.
the lawn.
that's interesting, yeah.
The National Fire Academy, I took a walk every morning, and it was a military base. We had sidewalks everywhere when I was in the military. It ended, so when you were taking your walk, you couldn't. So I was like, "This is terrible." Like I didn't, you know, like how do I get over there? Like I don't want to walk across this grass. You know, like it was ingrained in my head not to walk across grass.
Except at 0530, because we all did PT on the grass.
There's a lot of sidewalks at the moment.
Behind the academic building, it doesn't continue. You have to end up. So what I ended up doing is walking the dirt road all the way back around the fence
Yeah.
and go out to the highway that way.
Okay.
And
I just got a couple, I'm gonna wait till we get to the closeout. Were you looking to like, we were gonna get ready to wrap up, or, I don't know where you were going with it, I was just waiting till the end here.
What I wanted to do was put a question to everyone, is there anything else we need to get figured out before we go back to Lorero on Park Street? Or are we content with this? remarks and questions that we,
Do you want me to read out everything I have?
yeah, if you don't mind, that would be
Not at all.
nice, thank you.
EMS storage to the other side of the apparatus room, gear storage to the other side of the apparatus room. Move the crew office into the kitchen dining area. Move the captain's office into the old crew office. Remove the conference room, add that function to the training room with a folding divider. Eliminate the gathering space. Only dorms and bathrooms and the laundry upstairs. Can we use the land over the gas electric line for the tower for parking? Can we put everything on one floor? And or maybe turn the building 90 degrees to accomplish that. Minimize apparatus space but still be safe and functional. Then added the two doors, door for the call firefighters to respond to on this side of the building, and make sure there's a door on the hose tower.
Did your very first one include moving the day room, combining the day room?
I didn't hear that either.
I didn't hear the day room being combined with the kitchen dining.
Nope, okay.
And a storage area in the training room.
Thank you.
All right.
And eliminating the gathering, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, he did have that.
Somebody said something before I eliminate the,
The storage closet.
The storage closet.
In the training room.
Add the storage closet.
So I did find the square footage, speaking of the training room, the square footage at the PD right now is 1,254 square feet, and we're 1,163, so yeah, we're, 90 square feet. Just smaller, just so I had, have a picture in your head how
Right,
big
and
this
how
room
big
is.
it is, so it's bigger, ours is, this would be big.
This would be 90 square feet smaller,
Smaller,
Yeah.
smaller.
so it's not that 90
It's
square
not
feet's a
that
lot.
So it's
Right.
not as big as.
Looks big on paper,
Well,
but
nice.
Yeah.
Well,
So
it does, because I would say the training room at the police station is a nice size. I wouldn't say it's big.
Mhm.
right, that's what you.
And so you sit here and go, oh my God, this is huge.
In
Why
your
can't it be the
comments.
size of the PD?
Right.
I have something.
Oh,
It's
okay.
smaller.
Combine the crew office
Yeah,
with
I'm just, I mean,
the
that's,
kitchen,
Abe told me,
or
because
just
Abe
move
said,
it, move
let me
it,
see.
right?
combine it,
Well,
well, it
actually,
should be moved,
decipher,
but combine it with the kitchen.
Who are we
And
missing tonight?
the,
And
and
the
the
day
room
room
from
from
Upstairs.
upstairs.
I got that.
This one.
Matt, yeah.
38 by
Fair.
33.
Yep.
Kevin.
Kevin. I was just, now you're still the Tilton representative, or are you operating as the commissioner representative?
I'm the commissioner.
Right, so do we have an opening for Tilton?
Yes,
Or,
we do.
right, so we have an opening for Tilton, okay.
Well, where's Nate?
I don't know.
He said he couldn't come to the last meeting for some reason. He did let me know that, but he didn't say anything about today's.
Maybe he didn't catch the schedule change
I
that
wonder
we
if we
did.
should send out a reminder email before the next meeting a couple days in advance.
Yeah.
Well, the reason that I asked that question is I wanted to see, because if we're gonna take all those changes to Lorero, just to bring up in a group, I know we've had past meetings where when people don't show up, we spend the whole next meeting
Going over the same old
going
thing.
over the same stuff, and then those individuals want to make changes, so this is, I mean, are we gonna entertain that? I mean, I vote no. I mean, everybody should have their say, but you have your say by showing up. And I like meeting,
Only new changes.
right, but I mean, I like meeting and stuff to do productive
Yeah, you
work.
can't do
But
it.
rehashing every single meeting is not productive work. It
Well,
kinda
it's
incenses
costly,
me.
because we're not gonna have Lorero looking at,
Well, right.
keep changing and changing and changing, so.
I'm not saying anyone's gonna do that, but it could come up.
So maybe an email can go out to the other members and say, if you have any comments, please get them to you by certain date.
Tomorrow morning,
Before,
8
yes,
o'clock.
before we have Lorero do more work, right?
Watch the video, expect the
Or
12-page book.
would it be better to send out a recap of the meeting and where we're at? We've asked, we dissected the initial plans. Chief's gone back with the questions, and we're waiting for Lorero to give us the next set of plans for review.
Chief, can you?
When is the next meeting?
28th of April.
28th of April? So I'll send it out on Friday.
Right.
Well, I could send one out. I had already written on my calendar. I'll send one out on the 24th, which is the Thursday before.
Yeah, I'll send one out on Friday,
Okay.
double up.
I mean, it's almost a month, and I mean, look how fast we've already got some stuff coming in on Sandman Road.
Yep.
You know, I mean, how many? What was it? A week and a half, and we've got stuff. So if we give it a month, and then a month later, you know, we have 3 more people show up and go, oh, we need to change the whole damn.
Chief, can you photocopy that, please?
Yes.
And give it to me, and I'll take Tim's suggestion, and I'll email that to everyone at Davis.
You know what? I'll type this up so it's not a mess,
Okay.
so you can read my writing. So, and then I'll send it to you.
All right, so, are we square?
I think it was pretty productive.
Next
No,
meeting
I
is,
agree. I think all the meetings we've had so
Yeah.
far have been very productive.
next meeting is Monday, April 28th at 5:30. Following meeting is May 6th, which is a Tuesday at 5:30. Following meeting is May 27th, which is a Tuesday at 5:30. I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved by Dennis.
Secondly by Tim.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? It is 7:04. Thank you, Lauren, for your great transcription of our last meeting. Good luck with this one.
I think his